Hi, my name is Minh, and I'm with Recipe for Success, a SNAP Ed organization housed at UNCG, the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. Before we start today, I want to say thank you to our partner, One Step Further, for letting us use their wonderful kitchen. So, what we're going to make today is roasted butternut squash with Brussel sprouts. If you can pick up a recipe at your location, that would be great, and you can follow along. So, for this roasted butternut and Brussels sprout recipe, we're going to start with the butternut. So, I have a 2.5 pound here butternut squash. The recipe only calls for about a pound, so I'm going to use half of this butternut. It was the smallest one I could find at the grocery store, so make sure you weigh it out first at the grocery store. And then, so that way you're not wasting the squash. So that's the other half. I'm going to use this half. What I'm going to do is I'm going to peel the butternut with my knife. And if you're doing this for a holiday meal, you can definitely do this ahead of time and then cut it all up, chop it all up, and stick it in the freezer. And that way, on the day of or the day before, when you prep this recipe, you're not stressing over cutting this butternut squash. Okay, and then I'm just going to cut this up in about 1/2 inch chunks. I'm going to stick it in the bowl. Alright, so remove those all into the bowl. And the next thing we're going to work on is our Brussels sprouts. So I have about a pound here. They typically sell it by the pound. I'm going to open this up, stick it into the colander, and give it a quick rinse. So I have rinsed our Brussels sprouts here, and there's a pound in there. And what I'm going to do is kind of cut off that end. You don't have to do that, although when you bake it, you'll still see it in your dish. So if you care very much about your presentation, it's best to just cut it off now. And this dish is great for the holidays. It's actually great year-round. And Brussels sprouts are in season during the spring and the fall. So definitely great for the holidays, but also great for the spring if you want to continue to eat this recipe. So I'm just cutting off that brownish end there. Cutting them in half, so that way when it roasts in the oven, it doesn't take that much time. Okay, so everything's cut in half and we have it in the bowl with the butternut squash. So in this bowl, I'm going to add some salt and pepper. Now, the recipe calls for your taste of salt and pepper, so I'm just going to sprinkle it in. Obviously, when you pull it back out of the oven after it's been roasted in the oven, you can definitely add some more salt and pepper if you think it needs it. Typically, I just do a couple sprinkles and a couple dashes of salt and pepper, and that's typically all I need. And then to this, we're going to add some olive oil to the bowl. So to this bowl, we're going to add 3 tablespoons of olive oil. I'm going to eyeball it, but definitely use a measuring cup, a measuring spoon if you don't know what 3 tablespoons look like. So that's about 3 tablespoons right there into the bowl. I'm going to grab a spoon and I'm going to toss it into this bowl. Alongside with the olive oil, we're going to add some honey into this mixture. And we need about 4 tablespoons of honey, which is also equivalent to a 1/4 cup of honey. It's a lot of honey, but that's what makes this nice and sweet and nice and good. So that's about 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, if you don't think your Brussels sprout butternut squash mixture after you baked it in the oven is sweet enough for you and your family or your friends, then you can definitely add some more as soon as it's out of the oven. Now, you can definitely use less honey if you'd like, but I do not recommend adding sugar to this recipe because it will burn in the oven. Now, I've already gotten this prepared. I have a baking pan right here lined with some aluminum foil and some cooking spray. I'm going to take this bowl and dump it into my prepared pan. Make sure you get everything out of that bowl. And I'm going to spread it out. I'm not going to waste any of the Brussels sprouts, so make sure that gets tossed in there. So, I'm going to take this pan, put it in a 425-degree oven for about 25 minutes or until the edges are all crispy and browning and the butternut squash is nice and tender. So I'm going to go stick this in the oven and I'll meet you back here. Just pulled out the Brussels sprouts and butternut squash that we've been roasting for about 25 minutes from the oven. And I'm going to loosen it up. It's still really hot. I still have that bowl that we use to mix all of this in here before we stuck it in the oven. I'm just going to pour it back into that bowl. There's no need to waste another bowl, another dish. And again, easy cleanup. If you use aluminum foil, again, your pan is already clean and ready to be put up there. I'm going to stick this foil right there for a second. So in this bowl, we are going to add a cup of pecan halves. Now you can definitely roast this in the oven while this is cooking for about 5 minutes to get it all nice and toasty. Or you can just dump a cup into this bowl and it's still just as great. So this is a 2-cup container, so I'm going to use about half of the pecans in here. That's about half. And then to this bowl, I'm going to add half a cup of organic cranberries. Now you can definitely use regular cranberries. These are dry cranberries. You can definitely use fresh cranberries if you have any fresh cranberries at home. But dry will work just as well. And it's a little bit sweeter. So about half a cup, which is about that much there. And I'm going to close that, and we're just going to mix this up. All right, so this is a great time to give it a quick taste to make sure your salt, your pepper content is good to go. Now, if you like your mixture to be a little bit sweeter, you can definitely add some more honey to it. But typically 4 tablespoons or a 1/4 cup of honey is a lot of honey for most people. So it depends on who you are serving. So if you want to set, a little bowl of honey to the side of this dish, you can do so. And that is it. You have your roasted butternut and Brussels sprouts for the holiday season. So I hope you all enjoy this recipe, and thanks for watching.